we doing, guys? I'm going to bring the guys in just a moment. I want to say, though, I was really happy with the turnout we got on our UFL video for week one. Tremendous. I know there's not a lot of people covering it, so maybe we benefited a bit by having less options, but I was really impressed with the turnout. I appreciate all the likes as well. And as always, if you guys want to leave a comment for us, we'll respond to you. We'll give you more information if we get it available in the comment section as well. So just want to thank you off the top for that. A really good showing. Donnie, Guff, how are we doing?
Doing well. Having a good week so far.
So basically, like we do with the NFL, I always try to review what we did right, what we did wrong, and kind of put it forward into the next week. Fortunately for us, we can kind of put a bow on this week, and or we can put a bow on last week and kind of forward launch into this week as well by doing so. We just got the DC stuff wrong, and this is a shorter slate, fewer games, obviously, and you can't have big misses. And we had QD with a big miss, only getting 2 points. There was still a lot of zeros, though, so I guess my overarching opinion before I kick it over to Donnie or Gov is just be careful of injury reports and stay as up to date as possible. There's some really good people on Twitter to follow. I just saw a lot of lineups still with like Butler in the lineup, even though he was ruled out. I saw too many people playing Luis Perez. That stuff will kill you. Obviously, if you get like we did, where we just guessed wrong on the depth chart and QD just didn't get the opportunities we thought, that 2 points is still going to hurt, but at least we had a chance.
In week one, we knew going in that we didn't have definitive answers on all of this. This is just what was reported. But
right.
We know coach speak and such, anything can be reported. And then when you're in the game, who knows what changes. But that's good to see. We knew week one would be volatile like that.
Correct. Donnie, what was your overall takeaways? Anything?
I mean, we were going to be wrong when we didn't get that quarterback spot, right? When somebody breaks the record for pass yards in the league's history, you're going to have a birthday.
Yeah, but I stand by it. I think he was the right play given the information we had. We were talking a little bit before we went live. I bought into the coach speak. I got bought. Maybe I shouldn't have leaned into the coach speak as much with the 2-quarterback system.
I think they would have had a 2-quarterback system if he didn't come out and just sling it for a full drive.
Yeah, you're right. So do we get that in week 2? Like maybe now?
Oh no, I think it's his job now.
Yeah.
I think he's just won it at this point. But I mean, he was slinging it. You can't rip him out.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, like it's a 2-quarterback system when one is faltering. When one's on freaking fire, you leave him in the game.
You leave him in the game. And I would have gotten there had I been confident he was going to get as much snaps, but obviously we didn't know. I mean, I think the young quarterback move, the young quarterback that wants to prove himself and be hungry is the right move. And that's why I went with Jack Palmer. I will get that right by the end of the season, I promise. But it is Jack Palmer. But I like Anthony Beck, so I guess I would have leaned that way anyways with Orlando. I think he's the best coach in the league. Obviously, the former Battlehawks coach. I just think they won that game easily. I still think he has a chance to be the best quarterback in the league. But you mentioned it, Donnie. What Reed did was historic. Really was. I guess we could talk about defense because that always kind of sets the tone. I mean, obviously, DC just didn't look good offensively. We kind of covered that, but also their defense only getting 4 points was a big disappointment, giving their praise. We even got lucky on Kirkland. He didn't look good through 3 quarters of that game. It was just the last quarter where he basically caught all 3 passes. I was impressed with Rollin, though. That was a play we definitely got right. McFarland doesn't look like the lead guy. That would be my number one takeaway from week one. So I definitely wouldn't pay up for him this week until that price comes down.
Yeah, if his price has got to come down. He can't be a 30% owned running back and not be like that. That's just crazy.
You're right, and I expected that Thaler's kind of performance. We saw the star, the speed. The speed really was a factor last year for him. So I guess I just expected that Sailors type role where it's like, oh, this guy's going to be 40%, but he's going to be worth it because he's the only guy that's going to get 20 raw points, and that didn't happen. So that's an adjustment that I will make. I even owned it right away in a short that I put out showing the things we got right and the things we got wrong. So I have no problem showing our transparent results here in hopes that it will help someone. Ty Scott is a guy that I think with Jordan Ta'amu and Ty Scott, that offense is going to figure something out. Maybe it's not the juggernaut we thought it was going to be, but I would go back to Ty Scott this week.
Yeah, well, the O-line was bad, but Scott had 7 targets, I believe.
Yeah.
It does track it this year for us, which is nice. Last year, that was a little issue with DraftKings.
Also, Donnie, to that point about the offensive line, I heard they brought in some veterans and tried some guys out this week, and apparently they signed a veteran who has NFL experience. I forget who it was, but he's not going to play this week. But at least I like that from a coaching perspective. You're noticing a fault in your team and you're trying to address it. I think that's growth. So maybe we'll see a better offensive line performance being put on notice. It's like a coach being fired. The players kind of step up in that moment. So obviously, when you bring in competition, it's going to bring a notice to the starters of your offensive line. Was there any other takeaways that I'm missing from this lineup before we get over to week 2 completely?
No, the ownership. I like the way the ownership fell on it and what we had. So like everything else looked good there.
Yeah. I think running back and quarterback still stay to be the most important just because this league so far, especially maybe it's like early in the season where you see in baseball, like where sometimes the pitching can be ahead of the hitting, where it's like running's usually going to be more relied upon, to get a game plan started. You got to get quarterback right and you got to get the running back right. We obviously had a decent performance at quarterback, but that McFarland play, I think, was the thing that toasted this lineup. I'll get over to a lineup now, and we can build through the idea. I was closing out some tabs, and go ahead, Danny.
The first thing I did this to start off this lineup builder for me, and I did it all last year as well, and I based on what we saw last week, I'm going to keep doing it. Just attack Houston's offense and play the defense against them. I don't care that Stallions are 5K. I really don't.
I agree with that. Houston definitely. I don't even know if you've seen the game, Gov. You probably saw the stats at least. That Houston team by far looked like the worst team in the league.
They're so turnover prone. It's so bad.
No, I'm not against it. Just it's fine.
They got a new coaching
staff out of the way.
Too.
That's a position that we have to play, so we might as well just play what we want.
And it is the most expensive defense, I assume.
It is by like 500. It's the most expensive.
And it probably should be at least 1,000.
My first thought always is second. I think of a defense is can I correlate it with my running back?
And we definitely can. Connor's 5,700, and he had 15 touches last week, and that saves the money.
See, this is the only team that has 3 running backs that have NFL experience, and we were on the play. We just picked the wrong one.
We could play McFarland if you guys would rather, but Connor had 15 touches, and he was a goal line back.
I would be okay with it because I still think the depth chart and the price, people are going to click on McFarland, and if we think Connor can at least have anywhere close to the production he had in week 1, I think he's still a good play.
And I think it balances out our defense play, price-wise.
Yeah, I think that's fine too.
Yeah. I just wouldn't want to play like a passing option with the way we set this up. Like we're setting us up with the defense and the running game.
Oh,
so we're
I
basically
agree.
saying, yeah.
The only player I would consider playing otherwise from Birmingham would be John Ross because we saw how electric he was. He's only 4,400. If you were looking for a shot guy, but
was
that
it
would
John or was it? I think it was Justin who had the big day.
No, John. So Justin had a big day, but John Ross had the 2 catches that were long, and then he got that play called back. That was a penalty. It was like a 40-yard
That's right.
catch.
He had the big play called back from penalty, but he was the explosive play. That's right.
So Ross would have had almost 100 yards.
We mentioned it, but I want to just quickly say their quarterback situation is horrendous. Like, I think we're going to see the third quarterback, the one that Tua's brother, basically. I definitely do think we're going to see him. And I didn't think Tua's brother is that good, but Henderson looked by far he looked worse than he did last year, and I didn't think he looked good last year. So that should tell you something. Is there anything else that we need to talk, like anything you feel like is a must in this lineup, or is everything else kind of a discussion?
Let's discuss what game we would rather be in. What game is our stack? Louisville
we
or
gotta we gotta treat this like a Thanksgiving slate almost. So it's like
where do we overload?
Game.
Yeah, we should mention that quickly, though. Gov, you're right about the game theory. There's only 3 games this week. Obviously, there is a 4th game, but they're making that a standalone showdown slate on Tuesday. So it's a very strange, like football schedule. It's not our normal, but that's why you see the 3 games here. So I think there is an advantage to playing someone on Sunday just because most people won't want to wait for the depth charts. And we saw it last week where they tried to release the depth charts on the actual day that the game is played. So I do think there's an information edge if we picked one of these like Saturday or Sunday late games. But obviously Friday is their showcase game, so that is the game that they think has the probably highest point total. So I can make an argument either way. Do you guys have a lean? Because I really don't.
I really liked how Louisville and Orlando looked.
Yeah. The Kings looked a lot better than I expected.
And my thing is I like playing Plummer. I still think Plummer is one of the better quarterbacks in this league right now. But
I thought the cat was going to make a pick for us. I thought the cat came in like it had all the answers.
Don't mind him. He's fine. He does that from time to time.
I just don't know if that means he liked your take, Donnie, or he hated it. But I like Anthony.
I think I was about to say I agree. I think we could probably stack Orlando and Louisville. I do think we should figure out if there's one piece from that early game we want.
Yes.
If we're going to do that, let's figure out if there's a DC piece that we want. If probably not, but maybe. Do we want to go back to Scott? That.
Well,
we got to make a decision.
Scott had 7 targets. That's a lot.
Yeah. Minkins also had a lot of targets, but he caught them. So people, I think, are going to want to pay up for Minkins. I'll just show the wide receivers here. Obviously, with NFL experience as well for Bama. But like I said, because the way we went with our lineup, I think we can avoid that and maybe pay it for Scott. Still, is Jack Palmer? I'm going to keep doing that. I promise I'll try to get better. But it is Plummer, right? Are we going to go with Jack?
I lean that way. It doesn't have to be, but he's so cheap.
He is still cheap. I do think at some point we're going to see DTR. He was obviously active on the sidelines, involved in some of their packages that where they go to the players. So obviously he was plugged in. It wasn't like he was moping or anything. At some point we might see some specialized packages, but I thought that offense looked good. I've already mentioned it. I think Anthony Beck is the best coach in the league. And I think that offense would have looked better actually had that game been competitive. But Ted Ginn and that team just couldn't put together much opposition on the other side of it. So is this where we pick a wide receiver to pair with the stack?
Well, we should pick something for the DC game, I think.
Let's
make sure we
pick at least one player from that. And you can go to the flex so we can see, because I don't mind it being a running back.
Okay.
But like, let's look at like what like Scott. He got some volume. I wouldn't mind him. We could, if we wanted cheap, you could go with Columbus. How about Martin? He had 8 targets.
He did. I do want to say I'm seeing
like 15 points with no touchdowns. Like that's a pretty good.
Logan,
floor.
You're just at running backs or at receivers. Go to flex.
Yeah, hit flex.
Hold on, I'm seeing that Seth Williams is going to be out this week on Twitter. So verify that for yourself. But that's the report I'm seeing now that he's likely out for DC. You want me to go to running backs?
No, just flex. Just let us see the whole thing for that game.
Oh, that's right. Because we can basically pick anything.
Yeah.
Got it. I'll highlight this game too, since that's what we wanted.
Yeah. So I want to get at least one player from here. So like Scott's in play, especially if Williams is out, or we could take a dart throw on a different DC receiver, see who else was getting.
It looks like Powell's going to be moved up to he's gonna play, or at least be back in the rotation at some point. He was out week 1, so
and we could try Toa Tua again. 10 attempts, 2 targets.
Yeah, you don't usually have to convince Donnie that's his guy.
Yeah, he disappointed me last week. I'll let it slide though.
It's not a great floor. 10 attempts for 30 yards, like 3 yards and nothing else. Not even the cloud of dust. 3 yards and down on the ground. Longest was a 9-yard gain. Like, so it's nothing to be instilled about. But it is 12 touches.
I will say Ted Ginn did look kind of overwhelmed as a head coach. Maybe that's just my amateur eyes trying to read too much into it, but it looked like that offense and just the moment might have got to him a bit. So maybe that team kind of quiets down and they get into more of a rhythm, being used to some of that stuff now. I don't know, but they didn't look right to me. But I'm trying not to like overweight 1 week too much, because I do think that happens a lot. We look at the results of 1 week and we think we know it all.
If Williams is going to be out, I kind of like the idea of getting to one of the DC receivers.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind taking a chance on Powell because he's so cheap. Obviously, they expected him to be the starter. Then he was kind of a surprise scratch in week 1. Maybe he's worked back in though, and maybe he's bad to trust as the guy. But I wouldn't mind it, given I think it will go under the radar in terms of usage for most people.
I might just go back to Cootie.
It wouldn't be a bad target.
Well, I mean, I'm looking down here, like, Powell didn't play. 1 target, 1 target, 1 target, 1 target. Like, other than Scott and Williams, no one else got more than 1 target.
Yeah, no, Seth Williams is out.
And then Powell's moved up, right?
So, like, his 4 targets got to go somewhere, unless everyone's just going to get 1 target again and Scott's going to get 12, in which case, let's just play Scott.
I think it is Scott, or we take a chance on Powell myself. Donnie,
we could take their running back. Like Deion Jackson did have 17 rushes and a target.
He did. He led the backfield.
You take away his touchdown, and he only had like 6 points, 7 points, but it's still like if he's gonna get a lot of volume, that's something.
I was just gonna say that he got a ton of volume, but he didn't do much with it.
But that's the thing. Week 1, teams got to get to know each other. Like. I'm looking now, like, you could still go back and play McFarland instead of...
Yeah, we could.
I mean, instead of Connor. They both, like, McFarland still had, 13 touches.
And he's obviously...
It's not like he was completely out of it. He just didn't do anything with it week 1. I think that's what we're going to be the theme of the week. A lot of guys who got solid work, but didn't do anything with it.
Mm-hmm.
What do they do in week 2? Do they bounce back? Like, McFarland's talented. You would believe he would have a good game eventually.
I think that's the key is like where do we buy in versus where do we the overreaction theater. Like we don't want to get stuck in that mode. Donnie, I can tell you deep in the labs, you're studying the reports. Is there anything that you like tuck away from that at all that makes you want to lean one way or the other?
My only issue is our price points for for our stack, because that Louisville game is a little bit weird pricing wise, and I think we're going to want to spend on it. So we might need to go cheaper here.
Yeah.
So we just take a shot on like a Kuti or Powell?
Yeah. I think like that 7K or 8K range is too high.
Okay, so break the tie because the Gov was leaning QD, I think, and I was leaning Powell.
I haven't heard anything about Powell.
One target. They're probably only going to get 3. But who's going to get more than 1?
I would take the shot on Powell.
It's fine. Let's go with Powell.
It's a bit of a savings, and he did come in with a better pedigree.
And the way we're building it, it's one player. If Powell, for some reason, only gives us plays and gives us one of these 1.1s or something like that a bunch of these dudes on DC gave you last week, like Kuti 2.1, tight end Moore 1.2, Fairchild 3.4. Like, if he just gives you, even Scott only had 5.5 with the 7 targets. Like, if he just gives you 3 points, that's fine. He's our one-off from the first game. We're stacking another game anyway.
And I know it's a small edge, but like that's what we're talking about when these small fields and these small pools is how long is it going to take DraftKings to update, or even will they update the Williams news? If someone doesn't see him being out, I promise you he'll be more owned than he should be. And then people will look at Powell and say, like, they won't see any points here, and they'll think, well, something's wrong, and then they'll be scared off of it. So I do think there's an information edge to be gained. So do we want to go back to the stack, though, and decide that now?
Yes. Okay, so here's the news.
Okay.
I know Winstead is not expected to play.
That's correct.
Also, just random other news that I was looking at. Taue Toa, I know we were talking about him a bit. He's listed as RB3 this week. White is listed as a starter, which is interesting.
I also saw that as well. I can confirm.
And for your Tuesday showdown, which I know we'll get to later, potentially, Hakeem Butler will be playing. Ricky Prohl said he's going. He's full go.
Yeah, apparently it was an injury they knew about and they were monitoring, is what I had heard. So I didn't hear he was a go, but I did hear he was likely. The White news I also heard, apparently they liked the way he looked better than Tower. So take that for what it is worth. I do think it's a demotion, if nothing else, for Tower. Maybe it's more of a split. Maybe Tower still gets work, but it can't be good for the workload. You mentioned it, Gov. I think Jackson is interesting, though, for people that want to go that way, because he did get so much volume, and a lot of the UFL was split in week 1 in terms of running back usage, and where Jackson did just get a ton of use, or a ton of work.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest here. I thought KJ Hamler looked like the best receiver in terms of talent. Like, if anyone that I thought showed enough like NFL ability, it was KJ Hamler. He didn't obviously put up the stats, but I thought like he really flashed on my screen when I watched him. Obviously,
I think that he's going to be due for a big game myself. Like, I like him a lot this week, especially if you're stacking Orlando.
Who's that?
Hamler.
Yeah, I thought he flashed. Rowland caught the touchdown. He looked good too. I guess you could do a double stack. I probably would think about doing a double stack. I think you guys might be opposed to it. It might be too risky. But I wouldn't mind doing it in my personal lineup. Don, you have any lean when it comes to offensive weapons for Orlando? Nothing.
I'm okay with double stacks. I don't
No,
know
I
how
like the double stack idea.
I think this is my favorite game because it's so much unknown, right?
Yeah. Well, you also like some of Louisville too, so we could look at
Jamming
just
Lucky Jackson in my
stacking a
lineup.
game. What's that?
I'm almost jamming Lucky Jackson in my lineups because I late swapped him last week, and I think I'm frustrated with it. And I don't know if that's a good thing or not.
I do think
Ooh.
Lucky Jackson is going to be high owned because I do think people will pick from this game, but I think he'll be high owned with the quarterback Bean. So just to show you, I think people will go to this. Obviously, him being 9,300 is a lot different of a price than it was last week.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
I know I technically did okay because I played Justin Ross and he almost equaled value, but switching Jackson that hurt last week.
So would you go KJ if we went with one of them? Would you go KJ or Rawlings, Donnie?
Mm, I lean Rowland there, but
See,
That's tough. I probably, if I'm only playing one Rowland, but I could see the thought of just playing KJ.
I think we could we do it. I think we might be able to do it. Yeah, we could technically do it, I believe.
yeah, we can afford anything. So
Yeah. And well, I was just wondering because I think that would even leave us enough money to go up to McFarland if we wanted to as well. So
I think it would, but I think that's chasing stuff. Like,
chasing,
uh,
yeah.
I'm not saying we leave this much money on the table, but like we could make a different change. I feel if we wanted to.
Yeah. And we don't even got to play lucky. He just looked good, and I feel like maybe we're stacking this game, but in a different way. So like
He was a big body, got red zone targets. I think you play lucky.
and this is taking a bit of that Bean points away. Like if Bean has a good day, it doesn't kill us in this lineup because we have some of their best options. Like
And no Winstead, so that means like it's going to be Lucky Jackson.
yeah. Let me just show you their depth chart here, because
Yeah, it's going to be Lucky Jackson, and they're looking for wide receiver too. Because
and it doesn't appear to
should
me
be
that
Black. It'll all be Black. Who's wide receiver too?
right, but when Winstead went out last week, they went to a more two tight end system, if I remember right. They used the tight end experience from the NFL. They used the Chargers, McKitty and Davison a lot in their two tight end setup. So I wouldn't necessarily just plug in a wide receiver after Jackson. I think Jackson will just absorb a lot of targets.
Well, Black had a good day once Winstead went down.
Did he? Okay, that's a good note. I did notice that they had more tight end usage, but sometimes I don't notice it at all.
Yeah, I don't mind Drew Black. That's a guy on my radar right now.
You just play someone that cheap and you leave so much salary on the table because
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I'm not paying up everywhere.
Yeah.
And you feel weird about it, but that's what you have to do in the UFL. You have to be okay leaving $3K on the table randomly. If there's a pricing point that's wrong,
At least early, like because the pricing is going to be wrong. Like, it's just going to be wrong the first few weeks. It's usually soft and bad in NFL. This is way worse.
Yeah. But we do it in the NFL sometimes too. Like if there's a bad misprice off an injury, now they're better in the NFL about that. Like if you see a star running back, usually his backup is priced up something. But sometimes that slips through the crack, and you see that 4K, backup running back available. That's the kind of week we're looking at this week, because I do agree with you, Johnny. I think they left a lot of people mispriced. And maybe that's not the case in 3 or 5 weeks from now, but it's the case right now.
Well, what do we want to do with this last spot? Do we go Hamler and just
how about instead of leaving a whole bunch of money on the table, just switch Powell for Scott, and then let's find another 5K dude.
I agree with that, actually.
Like, we can pay up at one spot.
I do think
Scott's going to pay up everywhere, Donnie, but we can pay up somewhere.
I do think Scott's going to go somewhat lower owned.
We have 59, so like now we'll see where we can go.
You could afford the Rosses from Birmingham, which would not be bad. Both the Rosses had a good day. We can go. I don't want to play. We can go Cutie. I don't want to double stack
that.
Visca? No.
What about Chisholm from?
I didn't see anything I liked out of him.
Oh, I just saw volume.
I didn't see much volume either. Look at his targets.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't throw a whole lot.
I could be wrong, but like I don't even remember any targets of note.
Go down to Badger and make it the double stack, although he just caught the one big bomb.
No, he had a couple catches. Badger had a couple.
No, he had 4 catches, but like 4 catches for 132, and he had like an 80-yard bomb. So really, it was 3 for. So what does that make it? 3 for 50 is still not bad, actually. Yeah, so you could play him and make it the double instead of Hamler.
You could.
It's not bad. And hope he just gets a touchdown.
All these guys are so cheap. You're just sort of hoping they get a touchdown. Yeah. Same thing, with Williams out for, with the Williams out for DC. You just play no, not even Williams out. Like Martin got decent run. You play Martin cheap from Columbus.
I just think the biggest misprice this week is John Ross. I really do. I can't believe he's 4,400. I'm almost not playing him because he's too cheap to get in my lineup.
I wonder if they have the updated stats. It'd be nice.
That's Joe. Yeah, he had 2 for 2, but then he had the 40-yard catch wiped out. And it's just he looks so good when he's out there.
That 40-yard catch would definitely boost his ownership if that was, if that happened.
He looked so good when he was out there, and it's gonna hit one week.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure Chisholm got a lot of work, but maybe I'm wrong. Okay, he did see 5 targets, so it was a lot of empty air yards. Fair.
Okay, where do you lean, Gov? Do we just go Badger?
Badger would be my initial choice.
It makes sense with our team.
Yeah, because Merritt, if we want to get cute, but we wouldn't play against our defense. Obviously, you wouldn't play Scott and Powell without Taiamu, so that's not great, which also rules out Cutie. I think it is Badger.
Yeah.
Just wondering. His longest was 33, so it was off mostly a deep shot, his longest was 79. So like I'm saying, it's mostly off a deep shot, but that's kind of all we need. Obviously,
79, that's things. You take 79 out of 132, it's still 3 for 50.
Yeah,
that's an 8-point floor if you take out his bomb. His
point.
Touchdown, apparently. That's still not horrible.
It's a good point because, like Cutie, we were high on him in week 1. We paid all him and we got 2 points. So, even if we take out half of Badger's production, you're right. That's 8 points. That's good enough to win in the UFL. As embarrassing as that is, it's true. Anything else we want to note, Donnie? I know you were paying attention to the notes earlier. I like that a lot. Hopefully we can continue to do that. That's one of the reasons we do this show so late. So I know there's 5 people watching. If you guys can like and subscribe, these guys fit it in a very tight schedule to do it on Friday so we can give you the most information possible.
Deckers was just ruled Houston starter.
Was he? That makes sense to me. Henderson just looked so bad. And the beautiful thing about Henderson, the one advantage he had, he was a running quarterback. So but that offense just didn't look good. It wasn't getting wide receivers involved. I will say the Deckers guy didn't look fantastic either, though. On the other end, it wasn't that's not a big upgrade to me. I would expect Tua's brother to play. I don't even know. I forget Tua's brother's name, so that tells you I'm probably not high on him as a quarterback either. But I don't know, that Houston team just looked terrible.
No, I think Deckers is going to get plenty of run. Like week 1, you may not have been high on him, but 19 of 29 for 227, no interceptions, no fumbles lost, had a rushing touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't play terribly.
No, he didn't play. I guess it's Henderson just played so bad.
Oh yeah, no, I agree. He needed to. He needed to not. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah. No comments. Yes.
Donnie, what game are you excited? You're excited for this middle game, right?
Yeah, I think we'll find out a lot about these two teams.
Yeah. And
I know DC should bounce back. I know Birmingham's dominant. I know Columbus should be okay.
Right when he was making a good point, he freezes on.
Yeah. I knew that Columbus should be okay, and the other guys we need to learn.
I think so, and I thought Columbus showed some stuff. I just felt like they were nervous. I will say that in terms of the games, though, I'm excited because the two young quarterbacks are going to be competing against each other. We're going to see Jack, and we're going to see Bean, and I think that's what this league needs. Instead of the old just practice squad guys from the NFL, we're actually getting some.
No more Perez.
Yeah, I do think that's an actual bonus though. Getting some young guys, getting some new guys. We're seeing the ball go down the field more. In week 1, we saw more deep shots. I think that's just the young guys.
You saw this 4-point field goal?
That is crazy. I will say the 4th down rule still messes with my head. I'm not used to it, but it does bring some excitement to it as well. Those halftime performances, most of them were terrible, by the way, since we're just going off the rails and talking about the experience overall. I didn't like those halftime. I liked the chance, and I liked that they tried something, but they were terrible.
Well, it all depends on what the artist. At that point, it's the artist wanting to do a good show. They tried to get good people, but did the artist come to do a good halftime show, or did they come and give you a UFL based show?
Yeah, they came. They phoned
it in. It's a phoned in show. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Columbus, I guess they had to start selling more tickets. They opened up more of the stadium to sell more seats this week.
That's beautiful. What I like is the new ownership group is out there too. We saw him on the TV. Yes. We saw him challenging fans. He admitted that he didn't like the turnout in Orlando. He literally said it on the broadcast. He wasn't sugarcoating it. He's like, we need more people to show up if you guys want us to do this. The TV viewership is nice, but we're not going to survive. I like the active call outs and just being active in the league in general. He obviously wasn't afraid to get in front of the camera as well. That also helps. I thought it was a good week 1, but there was some missteps. I just don't want to lie about that. With that being said, though, I want to get us out of here on time. Make sure we're respectful of each of your times. If you guys want, leave a comment. And if you guys see any news, notes, you want to tell us something. If you think this lineup is terrible and you want to roast us, that's allowed as well. But with that being said, take care, guys. Good night.
Peace out, everyone.
I said good night at 2 in the afternoon. I apologize. That's terrible of me.
Yeah, it's nighttime somewhere. It's 5 o'clock somewhere.